just one that's really healthy and happy. Beautiful hikes, the sunshine, our families, our friends, and doing the right things and feeling great about it.
She's laughing at me the first time we went to the vegetarian place, because I'm like, this place, it says vegetarian.
You want to get the salad and then get the kale on the side? Instead of eating so many pastas and carbs, moving to more greens and vegetables. You know, not as much of the red meats.
You guys realize you were arguing over kale today, right? You're arguing over kale. I don't even know you anymore.
This stays here.
Hold on. Walk it up with your left arm. Do it with that arm triangle.
Heidi has been a big and positive influence on Chuck's spiritual, emotional, and physical well-being. And I've never seen him as happy or as strong. I mean, he's like a beast. Camp's easy for him. Just don't let me go home to Heidi.
So, introducing the guy that I met in 1998, one of my best friends, Chuck the Iceman Liddell.
Oh, music in the background. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? I'll come by after. I don't know if I'm supposed to walk over there. I think I'm supposed to talk. I think I'm supposed to talk up here, but I'll come over there after. What's that? Anytime you like. I don't know. I guess I'm supposed to be answering questions, so I don't know who I'm supposed to ask the questions from. So, is that you?
Hello?
Go.
Hey, how's it going, Chuck?
Good.
I have a quick question for you. A lot of people consider you to be the biggest household name in UFC history, where even when people didn't know anything about the UFC, they still knew who you were. Other than someone like John Jones, is there any up-and-coming fighter you see that could potentially have that household name?
That's a tough question. I think it just depends on who. I don't know what makes someone cross over or do different things. I mean, I did a lot of different cameos and different things that I guess helped me cross over. I don't know, but I'm sure there's someone coming up that'll step out there and cross that barrier too.
And I have one other question. Would you ever consider getting back in the ring and maybe slapping John Jones in his arrogant face? I'm sorry, I had to.
It's all right. I'm retired, but we'll let Glover do that tomorrow night.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot, Chuck. Have a good one.
Hey, what's going on, Chuck? I just wanted to say you're a legend, and I'm glad that you're here doing this Q&A. I just wanted to ask, you've knocked out quite a few people in the UFC. Which one felt the best?
Ooh, felt the best. Okay, most fun with Tito, yeah. It's always fun to hit Tito, but felt the best. No, actually, that guy could take a beating, man. He took shots after shots before. I think I broke his orbital to get him to quit. Actually, in Pride, the guy Metzger, he just crumpled, and
yeah.
I caught him with that. The cleanest shot. I mean, it was that left hook to Randleman. I mean, I was just throwing that left hook and caught him right perfect and went down. So it just depends, but yeah. Best feeling maybe the guy Metzger won in Pride.
Cool, thanks.
Hey, what's up, Chuck? I got a couple questions. My first question is, at this point in the company, who do you think has, I guess you could say, the heaviest hands? If you could think of a guy that just comes to mind.
There's quite a few guys with heavy hands. I mean, Glover's got some pretty heavy hands. I wouldn't know who to choose for. There's some big hitters out there right now. So
It's fair enough. My other question is, take yourself back, 2003, 2004, early Pride days. I got a quick question for you. Is there anybody that you wish you could have fought in that company if you had a choice?
No, actually, I got around to fighting him. I mean, I wish I'd fought him earlier. I mean, it would have been nice to fight Vanderlei when we both had the title. Would have been nice to fight Shogun when I was a little younger. But it was I fought everybody over there I really wanted to. So
That's good. And my last question is, these last couple months coming up, do you see any of the current champions losing any of their belts?
Aside from the obvious, I haven't really thought about it. But I think John should lose it tomorrow night. So I've been predicting it, and that's what I'm going for.
All right, thank you.
How you doing, Chuck? 2 statements, 1 question. You the man? Great combo on that rhinoceros. And what's up with the blue toenail polish?
It started a long time ago. It was more of a joke when I started it, but my daughter likes painting them, so she likes matching me. So I kept doing it. The comments I get, the worst I get from guys is probably, well, I guess you can if you want. So my daughter loves it, so it's fun.
Right on. Thanks, Chuck.
Chuck, how you doing? I was reading Matt Hughes' book about a year or so ago, and there's a story in there. It's talking about him hanging out with you. Guys wind up out back of a club, and fight ensues with a couple guys, I guess, local or something. And Matt's talking about how you're just laying people out left and right out in this alley. I'm just kind of curious. Do you know how many people you've knocked out outside of the cage?
I don't know. I couldn't tell. I remember a guy telling me one time, I think I wrote about my book, I was telling me he was 18-0 in the street, and he said that to me. I was 19 at the time. I looked at him like, 18-0? I think I was at 2 weekends in high school, so, I couldn't tell you. I fought a lot.
Lost count.
I fought a lot growing up. I always just like to say I never started a fight.
Mm-hmm.
But I never made it real easy for you. When I got older, I realized I never made it real easy for you to get out of it either.
Yeah. Made you think twice.
I didn't like bullies. People pick on someone. Oh, no, he don't want to fight. But, I will. No, we're going to fight still.
That's awesome.
Oh, no, I'm good. No, you wanted to fight. Let's fight. So,
I like it.
Yeah, so
Thanks,
I fought
Chuck.
quite a bit growing up.
Nice. Thanks.
Hey, Chuck, first, I just want to thank UFC and thank you for coming to Baltimore. It's been 6 years, and first time you guys have been here, so I'm thrilled to have you, and I hope this city's treated you well.
I'm excited to be here. I've been having a great time.
Good, glad to hear. You just made some comments recently that you think John Jones, would be a bad stylistic matchup for you if you guys would have fought in your prime. But resume-wise, where do you feel he matches up or stacks up all time at light heavyweight?
He's great. He's beat all the guys they have right now. He's beaten. He's fighting anybody they put in front of him, and he's doing a great job. I'm not saying anything about that. And I still think he's got a lot. He's going to get better. There's some things he can improve on, and I think it's going to happen. So I think at some point, people have been asking about me in my prime. Well, in my prime, yeah, I think I knocked him out. Is he in his prime yet? I don't think so. I think he's still got room to grow. So ask me in a few years, and I'll tell you if I can beat him in my prime and when he's in his prime. Now, I am a fighter, and I've always believed when I was fighting I could beat anyone in the world. So I'm always going to think I was going to win.
Fair enough. Well, just based on wins and losses, where would you rank him all time, even at the young age that he is now?
I don't get into ranking guys over time. He's a great fighter. He's done great things, and he's got a long career in front of him. So I like talking about that stuff when a guy's career's over, and you can talk about how great they were.
Gotcha. Thanks again, Chuck.
Hi, Chuck. Pleasure to talk to you, sir. Just a general question. I have a soon-to-be 15-year-old son who unfortunately couldn't be here today, but he's into the martial arts game and also basketball. But in a general sense, his dad's voice kind of goes deaf on him when I tell him stuff. What words of wisdom from Chuck Liddell can I take back to him as far as life, toughness, any nugget I can take back to him from your mouth, sir?
Oh, anything about life, anything about it?
Just in general of the way.
Well, in general, for people in life, I like people to take responsibility for your actions, responsibility for the situation you're in and for yourself. I mean, don't complain about this guy did this or this guy did that or I didn't have this, I didn't have that. Make a difference. Change it. For fighting, just remind them about mental toughness is not a sometimes thing. It's every time, all the time. If you quit in practice, you're going to quit in the fight. You can't turn it on when you can't turn it on when you get in it. You can't just turn it on when you get in the ring. So if you're going to quit in practice, you're going to quit in the fight. You're the only one that knows if you quit or not. Really. I mean, you can tell with some people, but I mean, and there's some point in that workout, that training, that you have a choice to quit or keep pushing it, and you're the only one that will really know if you quit. If you let tick a little off, you're the only one that'll know. But if you do it there, it starts there with the little one. It'll keep you bigger and bigger, and you won't be mentally tough.
Thank you.
Once again, thank you for coming to Baltimore. My question, it's like, all right, sorry, stage fright. It has to do with weight. Like, I know with wrestling and the UFC has changed over the years with different rules. But how do you feel about the guys that, like, should be heavyweights but cut so they can be the bigger guy in the ring?
That's part of the sport. If you can make the weight, that's the weight you're fighting at. I mean, that's fine with me. I'm not a big fan of people not making weight, but I mean, if you decide you want to get in shape and go down a weight and be a bigger, stronger, faster at that weight, that's where you should be.
Thank you, man.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Chuck, it's a pleasure to meet you. I got a question. Since you've retired, what have you done mentally to keep yourself going? I'm sure you had a long career, and your next fight's what kept you motivated and to keep going through life. Now that you're not fighting, what do you do to just get up in the morning and face the day?
Well, you have to shift your focus on what you're doing, and I mostly shift my focus on my family. I get up and I enjoy training my son, working with my daughter, going watching them play games, soccer, football, whatever it is. Just doing stuff with the family, and then help. I like helping guys out. I'm still in the gym. We're still working on opening. I'm gonna open a gym near me soon, so it makes it a little easier to travel. So I don't have to travel so much to train with guys. So, yeah, you have to shift your focus. But you're right. That is the first thing when you're thinking about retiring. It's like, well, now what am I gonna do? It's I've been working for something for the last 40 years. Yeah. Wrestling, football, track, whatever it was, I was always working for something. Karate, I did karate, since I was 12. So, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, now what? But I'm a martial artist too, and I will be till I die. So, it's easy to go out and stay focused.
Cool. All right, thanks.
Hey, Chuck, thanks for being here. On behalf of Baltimore, we're super pumped you're here. Thanks a lot, buddy. We appreciate it.
No problem, my pleasure.
Strength and conditioning question for you. What do you think was the best strength and conditioning activity that you did to prepare for 25 minutes in the octagon?
Ooh, the best thing. I mean, we did a lot. We did a lot of stuff. With, I do some powerlifting, but we also did like a circuit stuff where I go and I do my sets, and then I jump rope or shadow box in between. That's how I rest, the shadow box. Or, for conditioning, I think the best conditioning though was always I'd rotate guys. 5-minute rounds, but I rotate guys every minute, so I had a fresh guy every minute. So even, and then pummel with my brother for the rest, or something, So, the actual training was probably the best conditioning for me. I did a lot of different strength and conditioning stuff though.
Great. Thanks a lot, Chuck. Appreciate it.
How do you feel when somebody goes ahead and changes weight to go down and call out the number 1 or even the number 2 without coming through the ranks?
Well, that's a situational thing. You know, if you're dropping down in weight and want to call it out, and you're a former champion at the higher weight, you know, okay, now you got beat and you decided to go down, okay. Just because you came down shouldn't give you an automatic shot. But you know, if the fight makes sense and the reason you're coming down is because no one can beat you, they don't think anyone can beat you at that weight, and you're bringing a guy that, well, maybe this guy is tough enough to, if he makes the weight, he can beat him. So it depends on the situation for sure.
What do you think about when you have a rematch? Do you think you should get a rematch automatically? I mean, you might be talking a 3-time shot when everybody else is sitting there waiting their turn.
Automatic. I'm not sure. That's another thing. I think it's situational for me. Depending on the fight, the rematch. I mean, if it's one of those things where it's you think it's some freak thing happened, and okay, give him another shot at it, or you think it's a bad decision. Everyone kind of thinks it was a bad decision. Maybe give him another shot again. For the guy to prove that he should have won, and the other guy to give him a shot to actually win. So but that's all those things are situational as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I don't like automatic rematches because I don't think that's fair. But
good, thank you.
All right, hey Chuck. I just wanted to know, we all know that you have amazing stand-up, but I wanted to know, as a fellow stand-up martial artist myself, I want to know what your advice would be to try to improve my ground game.
Practice. I mean, I think all it is, I mean, yeah, it's a lot of practice. I mean, it's just, for me, I concentrated mostly on getting off my back. I didn't spend a lot of time on finishing people from the bottom. I love it now. That's kind of fun for me. It's the thing I've done for the least amount of time. I started jiu-jitsu in '97, but I've been doing martial arts and striking since I was 12, so it's been a long time. But you know, my thing is I concentrated on getting into good positions, not getting in a position where I'm not getting hurt on the bottom, and getting back up to my feet. And then if I'm on top, controlling the position. So if I say anything, if you're coming into the game late and you got great striking, work on getting off your back and getting back to where you're good at, and work on stopping people from taking you down. But that's the best advice I can give.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, what is your take on MMA being safer than boxing as far as head trauma, and do you have any concerns with yourself, going into the future with that?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's safer. I think it's safer just from a standpoint of that you take less hits to the head, not only in the fights but in training. I mean, you got to train so many different things. You can't concentrate all on your striking. You got to work on your wrestling. You got to work on other things, and also with there's no standing 8 counts. So you're not getting dropped 4 times, 5 times in the same fight. Really, you see a lot of guys get they get a standing 8. They get back up after 8, and they get it dropped again, and you get that repeated damage. So you get dropped. You don't get a standing 8 in a MMA. Someone jumps on top of you, it's over. So.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thanks again, Chuck, for coming to Baltimore. Appreciate it. Pre-UFC days, what was the most unusual fight venue that you think you fought at?
Pre-UFC days?
Yeah, in the early days.
Are we talking about MMA fights? Or,
yeah, or kickboxing, yeah.
Kickboxing?
Yeah, professional, sanctioned fight.
Oddly, they're all pretty normal. I mean, some hotels and, different... different hotels.
Okay.
A couple cool arenas. I mean, nothing. Actually, the weirdest one was, I didn't even think, I forgot about that one. Kickboxing, I fought at Cheetahs. Out in the parking lot at Cheetahs.
Oh, wow.
In Vegas. That was the name. I'm like, this is where the fight's at. I mean, I think that the dressing rooms were in the club, and there were still some people dancing, and we're like, okay, all right, that's a little weird. All right.
Cool. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, Chuck, it's an honor to be talking to you. How do you feel like the fighters back in your time would stack up against the fighters in this area? I mean, this era.
There's a lot of great fighters in both eras, and I think, and the sport's been evolving. It kept evolving, and guys getting better and better. So I think they all, if they grew up at the same time, now a lot of those guys still be just as good. I think a lot of them stack up well. There's some real tough guys that came out of the earlier fights. So,
do you think there's anybody that you fought could beat some of the top guys in the light heavyweight division?
Yeah, I'm sure there are guys that back in the day could have. Yeah, but
all right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, Chuck. Welcome to Baltimore. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time in the ring, and you're a great champion. I know everybody here really appreciates you, right, everybody? You know, from being a great champion, can you express what it is to come into a fight as the champion? Is there an extra pressure to defend the belt, or do you feel like you're coming in to win a new title every time? I've heard John Jones say that, and I'm kind of curious, from a former champion, what it's like to come into the ring defending an existing championship. And then also, can I get a prediction for how the main event will end? Maybe how deep and how you think it will end?
Well, honestly, for me, the only pressure I felt on every fight was the same pressure I felt for whether it was we were fighting out here in the back room, or I'm fighting in front of millions of people, whatever. I don't like to lose. That's something I'm good at. But that's the pressure. Having the belts, that's kind of like byproduct of winning. So it's not my actual, and I was trying to prove that I was best in the world, and that was just the thing that I could show. Okay, see, right now I'm best in the world, but it wasn't. It's not I didn't feel any pressure to protect that. So, other than the normal pressure that I felt not to lose.
And your prediction for how the fight's gonna end?
Yeah. Well, I think it doesn't go past 3, but I don't think. I think Glover either drops him or hurts him, and he shoots in and gets caught.
Is that during like 3?
I've done it in 3.
Okay.
I don't think it makes it out of 3.
Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you for the Q&A, sir. Quick question. You know how a lot of fighters are always like, this could be the next so-and-so, or this could be the next so-and-so. Do you find any fighters that could be the next Chuck Liddell, or stylistically, are you a big fan of?
Stylistically, I mean, I like guys like Pettis. I like Aldo. I like a lot of guys. I like Lawler, Robbie. I love Robbie. I love the way he fights. I like a lot of guys. I mean, I like guys that come out there swinging. So, but yeah, I'm not. We'll see.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, Chuck, question for you is, now that your career in the MMA octagon is over, you're doing other things, you have a family, what is your biggest accomplishment besides the Duralast commercial?
What was that?
What is your biggest accomplishment overall now that the dust settled from your career in the octagon and everything else?
My biggest accomplishment in the...
Well, we can go MMA or life, if you want to get deep, whichever.
Oh, I mean, I think the biggest accomplishment was just the whole ride, like bringing it, growing with the sport and having this, being out there and being the head of this. A lot of people say I was the face of the sport as it was growing, and that's something to look back at and go, oh, that was awesome. It was an awesome ride. I going from begging paper to put us in the leisure section to have them call me up out of the blue going, hey, you want to talk about where your favorite places are to travel in our leisure section? That kind of stuff is fun for me.
Okay, thanks.
Chuck, thanks for coming to talk to us. I guess my question is 2 parts, actually. Part 1. You've had a lot of accomplishments. What was your biggest obstacle to get there? To get to where you are today, what was your biggest
obstacle that you had to overcome?
Obstacle. I don't know. I think I don't want to say it wasn't a lot of hard work, a lot of going over. I mean, but I didn't start. I started fighting in the UFC when I was in '98. I mean, I was. It was getting close. If I hadn't started then, I almost went to go work for. I was starting to get to the point where I think I'm going to have to go get a real job. 'Cause I was doing kickboxing, and my grandma was giving me a hard time. I had a degree in accounting, and I didn't have a real job, so she was trying to get me to go. So I almost hung them up when someone asked me if I wanted to fight in a mixed fight in Vegas, and I just kind of got lucky.
That's a great answer. It's always good to be lucky. Question number 2. Who's your favorite Spice Girl?
To be honest, I don't remember what their names are. You want to?
I'll help you out. Baby Ginger, Posh, Todd. No, that's all right. Thanks, Chuck. I appreciate it.
Hey, Chuck, I have 2 questions for you. Question number 1, what's your favorite part of the Oreo cookie?
What's that?
What's your favorite part of the Oreo cookie?
I think I like everyone else. I like the center.
Question number 2, do you think my father and I could get a picture with you later?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
All right, thanks.
Listen, what do you say, Chuck? My question is about fighter pay. You got all these guys out here whining and crying. I'm not making this, I'm not making that. $60,000 for a fight, in my book is a lot of money. Hell, some people don't make that in a year. And when I signed up, with my job, with whether my boss man, what he makes is his business. You know what I mean? I agreed to come to work for a certain rate, and that's what I do. What's your take on that?
Right. Well, I mean, I see guys are, they're thinking it's a short career. It's not, they're not going to be making it over a long period of time, and they're taking a lot of risk with their bodies. But, that you're talking to a guy that fought, my first fight in the UFC was for $1,000. I was hoping to get in the tournament and have to fight a second time and possibly win a little bit more. So in my second fight, I think I fought in Brazil. It was a 30-minute straight bare-knuckle fight for $1,000 to show and 3 more to win. So it was a $4,000 shot fight. So, when I was kickboxing, $500 a show, $200, so you're talking the wrong wire. You're complaining about the pay for your beginning fights. So, I mean, and I think a lot of the complaints aren't I don't want to get into it, but but it's
But look at you. You did what you did. You shut your mouth. You whipped everybody's ass, and now look at you. I mean, that's what's up.
Yeah. Well, a lot of my, I've seen a lot of the guys I hear make a lot of noise are guys that aren't making it. It's like a guy was at, I think, a California commission there. Guy was talking about how about fighter pay, and it's like, oh, he's won all these fights. It's all, but look at your career. You've had 2 fights in the UFC. You bumped up from the small shows. You went into the UFC, got beat, went back down, had a bunch of wins, went back up in the UFC, went back down, and you're saying you can't make a living. Well, you can't win. This is not. If you can't win, you're not going to get paid, right?
Right on.
It's a sport.
Hi, Chuck. I was wondering, since I'm in karate and I have my belt test tomorrow, and I'm just wondering what's your favorite martial art, that you like?
Hawaiian Kempo is my main style now, so that would be my favorite, I guess. But I'm a big fan of martial arts. I studied a lot of different martial arts. I did Korean Martial Arts Club in college. I've done hardstyle karate since when I was younger. I've done Aikido, jiu-jitsu, Aikido. I like martial arts. I've been a fan of it my whole life, so
yeah.
I like them all.
Thank you.
Hey, Chuck. How are you? I was just wondering, when you started training MMA, did you ever picture yourself in the position that you are now, or did you see yourself doing something else?
I kind of fell into doing MMA. I was kickboxing to compete. I wrestled in college. I had to play football and wrestle in college. And then when I was finishing up school, I started kickboxing to keep competing when I was while I was finishing, and then kind of went into one of my buddies, Scott Adams, actually started doing some submission stuff and got me to come in with one of wrestling buddies. We started doing some submissions, and a guy from Vegas, Nick Onekick, asked me if I'd do a mixed fight on a card. And you wrestled, right? He knew I'd wrestled. And I'm like, yeah, you do this mixed fight, and had me fight some guy. And I never went to the ground. I was surprised. The guy was supposed to be a jiu-jitsu guy, I think. He never took a shot. And I wound up kicking him in his head. And I mean, it started out as an open hand palm fight, and then by the time I got there, they said you could slap with these 4 fingers on the thing, and once you hit the ground, you couldn't hit him. So now I'm thinking, okay, now I got to beat him with either kicks or. So I caught him with a head kick, but anyway. And then someone asked me, "Hey, you want to fight in the UFC?" And I said, "Yeah, why not? I'll try it." And I got the rest is history, I guess. So.
Wow, that's cool. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks.
All right.
Hey, Chuck. We actually have a common friend, Randy Harris from Tampa. So I talked to him last night, and he told me I had to ask you a question. It had to be food related. So I prepared a question, but we saw this video about you going to the Veggie Grill. But I wanted to know if you do, or when you used to go to In-N-Out Burger, what your order was.
Oh, I still go to In-N-Out Burger. I wish I hadn't converted me all the way. It's 3x3 ketchup, mustard, and onions only.
Double animal style for me.
That's pretty good, too. I tried that one.
Hey, Chuck. Welcome to Baltimore. 2 questions for you. One, Joe Rogan's always talking about his disdain for the rule against 12-6 elbows. Visually, it does look brutal. He makes his case for why he thinks they ought to be allowed. Just wondering, first of all, what your thoughts on that were.
Well, I mean, I don't see the. I mean, it's almost like I don't see the difference. It's, if you got a little angle to it, deciding if the angle is good enough. Really, but I mean, it's what they felt there was a danger for the fighters and trying to protect them. I mean, I wish they let knees to head on the ground back. I want that back. And the original rules they were in New Jersey, when New Jersey sanctioned it, the first fight they had there, they were still in. And then actually one of my fighters was brutalizing a guy. He's about 6'10", and he was brutalizing a guy with knees to the head. And I think I remember hearing the commissioner back there going, I don't know if I like those knees to the head on the ground. And they were out next time there was a fight. So,
Cool. Yeah, and follow up. I'm a local pastor in the area, just a huge MMA fan, and want to know if you would help me be the most popular and coolest pastor in Baltimore, man, by getting a quick picture with me later on. So,
that's fine with me. That's all right.
Thanks, man.
All right, one of my questions is silly, one of my questions is serious. First one is, in an arm wrestling contest between you and I.
I don't know where to start with that.
I mean, do you think you can armbar me? I don't know.
I don't think I can. I might have a little problem with that.
My serious question is, Nick, and his last name's Newell, I think, fights in World Series. What is your take on the one-handed fighter as far as advantages, disadvantages? Would you do a head kick to his? Would you do a right head kick to the left side of his head?
Well, it makes it an interesting thing. Guys, I had a buddy that was just his hand we spar with, but and wrestling with guys like that, it was a weird thing wrestling with them because it's different for you every time you come in. It's something different for you, but. I don't know. It makes it a little weird. They had the wrestler. It was real tough from. I think it was Arizona State had the wrestler. I mean, it's just hard to wrestle him. He's a lot bigger upper body than guys you used to. And you don't get to practice against. It's one of those guys you can't find anybody to practice against. It's the first time you wrestled him.
Right.
It's tough.
In some ways, I think he has an advantage because his elbow doesn't move. So once he gets the headlock on, you're not getting it off.
Well, yeah.
And then, of course, he has some disadvantages as well. So thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Hey, Chuck. It's awesome to see you here. You actually headlined the first pay-per-view I ever bought. You knocked out Babalu for the second time, and I've been hooked ever since, man. So it's great to see you.
Thank you.
All right, so my question is, I believe that in martial arts, it's more than, in order to be successful, you have to know more than just, your striking, your grappling, your transitions, and that the mental aspect is really important, perhaps so even more than other sports. So my question for you is, could you speak to the mental demands of performing in martial arts? And secondly, have you ever deliberately trained the mental aspects of your performance?
Well, I think you like I was saying earlier, like mental toughness isn't a sometimes thing. It's one of those things you're training it all the time with everything you do. It needs to be an all the time thing. And it's not just when you're training, when you're not training. You get up when you're supposed to get up. You don't take that easy out when there's an easy out. You just start taking those. They become easier and easier to take, and then you start breaking. But yeah, the mental side of it, it's a very it's a complicated game. There's a lot of different elements to it, and obviously you have to be good at certain things. You have to be good at wrestling. You have to be good at jiu-jitsu. You got to be good at striking. But and how you put them together is going to be always different. But different people put them together different. But it's important. It's very complicated. A lot of times the smarter guy that's able to put it together better game plan, better execution, is going to win.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, man.
Hey, Chuck, big fan. Hey, crazy question. Do you think Ronda Rousey could beat Floyd Mayweather?
Look, okay. I have a 135-pound guy. I'm sure could beat Mayweather in an MMA fight. That's now you're talking about
with MMA gloves on.
With MMA gloves on, for sure. I mean, he's not going to stop a takedown, stop a shot.
That's a yes.
But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that's kind of one of those things that's kind of silly. But
thank you.
Hey, Chuck, you may have told.
Yeah, but it helps.
Chuck, you may have told the story 1,000 times. I just haven't heard it. What's the story behind the mohawk, and what does the Asian writing on the side of your head, what exactly does it mean?
My mohawk is just kind of. I was actually going to a Slayer concert with my buddies in college, and they were all going to shave their heads. Everyone's got to do it. And I'm like, I grew up until ninth grade. My grandparents would not let me not have my head hair shorter than this all the way around, just flat out short. That's what I was allowed to have. Had a substitute teacher in 8th grade asked me, hey, what's it like being a skinhead? And I'm like, what? Huh? What are you talking about? So I told my parents that, and they let me grow my hair out a little bit, but that was it. So I didn't want to go back to having a shaved head, and I said, you know what? I'll do something. I'll put a mohawk in. Shaved mohawk in. I left it there. The tattoo on the side of the head. Well, I guess little known story, but it's my original karate style. This is what we wear on our gis. When you get your black belt, you don't wear your gym patch. You wear that on your head. And actually, when I started kickboxing, they were going to strip me of my black belt. And to me, this was a FU to them. I earned it. You can't take it from me. So, obviously, with my success and stuff, they forgot about that, and they've accepted me now again. But they were trying to strip my black belt, and I just kind of at that time I wanted to put it somewhere. I wanted to put it somewhere you could see it real easy without me taking my shirt off. And when I went to go get a real job, I could cover it up. So at the time, I was still planning on being an accountant. So I didn't think a big tattoo on the side of my forearms. So.
Who's next? Up there. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Out of all the people you faced, who do you think packs the biggest punch?
I get that question a lot, and the thing is, I've been knocked out a couple times, and I tell you, you don't remember. So, I couldn't tell you which one hurt the most. So, it is what it is.
Hey, Chuck, thanks for being here. We all know you as the Iceman, and you're literally a hero to a lot of us.
But if you had to choose one actual superpower, what would it be?
I just want mind control.
I think we all do.
We actually went over that with my kids were talking about it. That's why it was easy to answer, because they asked me that the other day. We were talking. They listed off a bunch of stuff and asked me which one. And I think, actually, all those things, I want mind control. I just want to control their mind. It makes things real simple.
Our wives have
Thanks,
learned
man.
that.
What?
Our wives have learned that.
Mr. Liddell, how you doing? So my question is do you think UFC posters could use a little bit of work in comparison to Pride FC posters? And if so, could you put a bug in Dana's ear to get him working on that?
To be honest, I've only looked at a few of the ones that people have sent me for me. So, for my fight, so I don't even know what I haven't seen a poster in a long time that I was really paying attention to.
In my opinion, they're a lot better, and I don't know.
Well, that's I'll let Dana know.
Thank you.
Hey Chuck, I'm just entering MMA, and I would like to have your advice to tell me, what's the best advice you can give me?
Best advice I can give you: have fun, enjoy it. Work hard and have a good coach. But at your age and get started, just learn to enjoy it and enjoy the sport.
All right, and I have another question. What should I focus on most, striking or wrestling?
Okay, well, that is up to you, but you're going to need to get better at both. I think as a kid, if you're going to pick one sport, get into wrestling, because it's the mat time that you need and to get your body used to doing stuff. It's a lot easier for me. It's a lot easier for me to teach a wrestler striking than a striker wrestling. So I'd say more important would be the wrestling at your age. But.
All right, thanks, Joe. It's been an honor talking to you. So, by the way, I liked watching you kick Tito's butt.
Thank you.
How's it going? This is cool. Not everyone has perfect days. Sometimes you wake up 80, 90%, sometimes a little sick. How do you deal with that with fights? And have you ever felt 50% going into a fight?
Well, I was the week of second Jeremy Horn fight. I was getting 103 fever, getting into break, going to practice, shoot back up to 103, 104. That week I was coughing. I had to take cough medicine right at 6 o'clock before the fight, and by the time I was walking into my after party, I couldn't stop coughing. So, it just has to do with. People get sick. It happens, but just you roll with it, do what you got to do.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay, we're going to take these last people here, and we got one question each, all right? We got to kind of move through because we're supposed to wrap it up in a couple minutes.
All right, Chuck, it's not UFC 17, it's UFC 176. You're coming into the UFC. Do you still come into 205, or do you try to make 185?
205 is probably about as low as I can go. I haven't been under the lowest I've been. 98. I made 190. I made 197.
Was that
in
Heath?
Brazil. No.
How about Steve Heath? What was that?
I made 195. That's right. I forgot about Steve Heath.
He looked like Skeletor.
I made 195. I cut 19 and a half pounds in 24 hours, and it was a day of weigh-in too, so it wasn't real fun. I got
19 pounds in 24 hours.
Got on the scale at 12 and was cramping about 6, and then felt a little better by the time we fought.
So tell him what happened in the Steve Heath fight.
No.
Brutal.
If you haven't seen it, it's a pretty ugly kick. But
he knocks him out with the punch and then stands back and lets him have it with a kick.
I don't know. Okay, I hit him with the right hand. He bounced off the cage as I was kicking. I kicked him right in the head. He went down. Everyone's yelling at me, but
all right, thanks,
I was
Chuck.
in the motion. Sorry.
So the story is, by the way, Chuck was getting a loan for a house, so I brought the mortgage underwriter to the fight. She'd never been to a fight before, and I said, this guy's really good. He's going to go far. And she's like, but how do I value him as a fighter? And then he knocked the guy out. She goes, I think we're going to do that deal.
All right, all I gotta say is, Chuck, ever since I watched UFC, you were one of my favorites, and I've always wondered, where'd you get Iceman from?
My trainer gave me that when it's like my fourth or fifth kickboxing match. I was the 14th fight on the card, and they made us show up at 5. I wasn't going to fight till about 10, and so he wasn't going to he was going to take my hands at about 8:39, and he went looking for me, couldn't find me. It's like, oh, where's he at? And they're looking around the locker, the wrestling room. It's at the Strongbow Arena, so there's a lot of different rooms. And he found me curled up in a corner with my head on a tie pad, sleeping. After that, he started calling. He nicknamed everybody. John likes making nicknames for everybody, but he started calling me the Iceman. At first, I didn't even like it, and then it just kind of stuck. And so I've grown to like it. So.
All right, thanks.
After all the conflict between you and Tito, how did it feel just like bashing his face for the fight?
It was fun after all that and all the lip service he gives and all that stuff to show I could do to him exactly what I said I could. So, but it was fun.
Hey, Chuck, thanks for coming out today. My question is, with the UFC throwing around the idea of uniforms, and you've created a brand for yourself, the Iceman, the Mohawk, and how do you think that would affect a fighter's ability to earn today?
I don't know. I like the fact that I got to, but, I think more of what made my image was how I was and how I fought. How you carry yourself in interviews, how you carry yourself around people. How you carry yourself in the public. Definitely how you carry yourself in the ring. So I think that's more important than what you were wearing.
Thanks, Chuck.
Hey, Chuck. I wanted to know what version of you would you think was the best to ever compete in the octagon? Was it when you fought Randy? Was it when you fought Tito? What was the strongest version of you inside the ring?
I don't know. I think I thought I was ready for all my fights. I got real good ready for Franklin. I just, had the problem. I got hit with something that normally I would have walked through, and I didn't. So, at some point it sucks, but it was, I'm still going.
Thanks, Jim.
So after that video, I got to ask, assuming you don't detest it, what's your favorite kale recipe?
What's that?
What's your favorite kale recipe, assuming you don't detest it?
I wouldn't even know which ones they are. My wife does the cooking, so. But I'll eat. She makes good food. We go to some great. I'd never until I met her. I never had a vegan meal. So her brother's vegan, and we went to a restaurant. I actually thought we went to a restaurant in New York, and I'm like, oh man, it's kind of cool. They got broccoli beef for us people eat meat, And so that's not beef. Oh, okay. It was awesome. It was really good food. The way I'd cook it probably wouldn't be that good, but the way they cook it, it's not so bad.
Thank you.
Hi, Chuck. I had a question, but my son had a question first. Go ahead. He wanted to know what your favorite color was.
Blue.
There you go. And my question was, one of my favorite series of events was the Pride Middleweight Tournament, and you were a part of. Yeah. And I was wondering what that experience was like as compared to fighting in the UFC.
It was cool. it was interesting. I like Japan. I like going over there. The crowd over there is weird. It's a weird kind of. I don't know if you've never seen a fight there.
Is it because of the hush?
Yeah, it's just so quiet. I think I was up there fighting someone after my fight. Dan Henderson was fighting, and I'm screaming for him from probably about where you are to the ring down here, and my brother's tapping me. I'm like, what? Take your headphones off. Oh, oops.
Thanks for taking the time.
I'm screaming and cussing up there. Dan's a friend of mine, so I'm screaming for him up there. And I'm like, oh, I mean, you could hear me. I'm sure he could hear. I could have had a conversation with him in the ring from there. So it was just a little odd for me. It was like I think there was 18,000 people there.
Yep.
It's that quiet in the middle of a fight, but it's a cool experience over there.
Very cool. Thank you so much.
All right, so I'm going to tell you a quick story about when I met Chuck. I actually found slow kickboxing in the phone book. Went down there, was teaching taekwondo at another school. Went into his gym, doing all the kicks, flying crescent kicks, all that. I get done, and he looks at me and he goes, hey, when you have time, I'll teach you how to really fight. Just demeaned me, demoralized me. But then he had a guy that weighed 145 pounds named Cruz Gomez. You remember that? Yeah. He said, throw your best kick at him. I threw a kick at him, and he armbarred me in 15 seconds. So I go, let me try it again. And the second time I got it up to about a minute before he armbarred me. So at that point, I knew that maybe what I had been taking for 20 years wasn't, the totality of martial arts. So anyway, listen, let's give it up for Chuck Liddell. Okay, the winner of the contest, I'm going to do two winners today. The guy that asked the question about Chuck's advice to his kids. I think he's sitting up there somewhere. I hope he's still here. You're over there? Okay, so you're going to come down and I'll give you one of my cards. And then there was a little kid with the hat on that asked about advice for Chuck Liddell for him training in MMA. Where is he? Well, you guys all move, huh? All right, you come down and we'll give you, and so we're going to have you guys watch some video and the weigh-ins will start at 4 o'clock sharp. Thank you.
Turn my music high, high, turn my music. Turn my music.